This video is important. I'm gonna go through the 10 most important things about the DJI Mini 4 Pro so you can have a safe flight experience. The first thing, that is to activate the DJI Refresh Care Refresh, the service plan that DJI have that insures the drone so you can get a replacement unit for a very discounted price if the accident should happen and you crash and destroy the drone or it flies away or something happens. And if you for some reason forget to do that within the first 48 hours after activating the drone, there is currently a way to activate and add a DJI Care Refresh even after those 48 hours, but then it has to go through video review things and you have to send in things, and it's just so much easier to activate the DJI Care Refresh within the first 48 hours so you have a peace of mind if the accident should happen. The second thing, that is to make sure that the signal loss settings is set up correctly. You have three different options. Either the drone is going to return back to home, or it's going to hover, or it's going to land. And this is very important that you actually set this correct, and I've gone through that in the previous video, and I'm going to link to relevant videos in the description box below so you can see them as well. If you set the signal loss behavior to return back to home, the return to home setting, that will make sure the drone is returning back to home and landing where it's recorded the return to home position. And if you lose the connection for some reason, something happens, you're going to lose the battery in the remote, or you will just lose the connection for some other reason, the drone will come back and land. But there are situations where return to home is not the best option. And that is, for example, if you're out hiking, or you are on a boat, or you are doing something else when you are moving away from the home position. Then you don't want the drone to fly back to that position because you're simply not there anymore. Hover, that is something that I'm using if I'm, for example, is flying where you have a lot of trees and the drone is tracking myself, or I have something else on top of me and the drone will then crash into it if it starts the return to home procedure. I will also use hover if I'm on a boat or I'm moving somewhere else. Then I know that the drone is going to stay whenever it was when it lost the connection, and I can look at that on my remote and I can probably get closer to that position so I can regain the connection again. Land is something that I should use never. I don't think I should ever use land, because wherever you are, and if you lose the connection, the drone will just land. And if I just look around me here, I can't find any place where it should be good to land. So generally that is a really bad option to have. The third thing, that is to make sure that the drone is capturing images in 4:3 ratio, because it's a 4:3 ratio sensor. So if you use 16:9 instead, the image will be cropped before it's saved. And if you use 4:3 instead, you're going to get the full resolution of the image without being cropped first. And that also makes it easier if you, for example, would like to have it horizontal or vertical, you can crop it easier in post. And if you, after you have captured, crop it to 16:9, you're going to get the same resolution and same result that you would have if you would have selected 16:9 initially. So select 4:3 instead. When you have the obstacle avoidance set to bypass, you can have a setting that it says nifty. And the nifty is just that, so imagine that you have a security bubble around the drone, and when you're flying it, it makes sure that nothing is coming into that bubble when you fly it. It won't detect anything, or it won't do anything if you approach the drone, and if the drone is hovering and you approach the drone, that doesn't work. The drone needs to move itself. And this bubble, when you have it in normal, that bubble is fairly big, so you know that you're going to have a safe distance to obstacles. If you change that to nifty, the security bubble will shrink down and be a lot smaller. And if you're flying, for example, here where I have branches and things, those branches can be really hard to detect, and there is a bigger risk to fly into things. I would maybe use the nifty if you have big solid things that it's easy for the drone to detect. Then I can use nifty if I would like to get a shot where it should fly close to things, but otherwise don't use nifty. Next one, that is that the precious filters that you purchased to your DJI Mini 3 Pro, they don't work to the DJI Mini 4 Pro, so unfortunately you need to buy new filters if you would like to have filters. And I'm actually going to release a later video about filters, because there are some interesting things that I think you should look at. But if I posted that video now when you're looking at this video, that video will be linked in the description box below as well. If you're going to track things, which is really awesome when it comes to these mini drones, then activate subject scanning, because then you get a plus sign on everything that you can track, so you can just tap it and then the drone drone is going to lock onto it by itself instead of the need of dragging this square around it. So if you wonder what happened there, I just increased the ISO on the cameras, that one and that one, because it gets a little bit darker and it can be hard to see me otherwise. Next thing, that is to set the correct coding format, because you have the option to set on H.264 and H.265. If you set it to 265, which is the newer and later version of the compression that is more efficient, it's a lot harder for the computer to decompress when you're gonna edit and work with a video. So if you have any problems and it's stuttering and doesn't behave so well and it doesn't look good, just change to H.264 and you should be good. The next thing, that is actually to set the customized feature that you would like to have to these customizable buttons that you have on the remote, because it's really handy. Personally, I've set one of them to initiate the cruise control, because that is one of the most handy features you have in a DJI Mini 4 Pro. And I dropped a link to my cruise control video as well, because when you use the cruise control, the drone can do whatever maneuver you set it to do, and then you can control the camera, for example, and it's really useful. So make sure to set this C1 and C2 to things that you're actually going to use. So number 9, that is to make sure that you fly up to at least 7 meters of elevation after you have taken off. And that is to initiate the precision landing. The precision landing that you have in the DJI Mini 4 Pro will make sure that the drone is landing more accurately where you took off. So it's not going to drift away as much as the DJI Mini 3 did, for example, when that one returned back by itself to land. Because in the manual, DJI say that DJI Mini 4 Pro needs to go up to an elevation of 7 meters before the precision landing is actually initiated. So have that as a habit. Just take off. When you've taken off, fly up to 7 meters, and then you can fly away and do whatever you want, and then you will have a more precise landing experience if the drone is going to come home by itself and land automatically. The last one, that is to set the advanced return to home settings correctly, because one is called optimal and the other one is standard. When you have set it to optimal, then the drone will decide whatever route is best when it's going to come home when you have the automatic return to home feature initiated. For example, if you push the return to home button on remote or the signal loss is initiated, then the drone will take a more intelligent path on its way back, and especially if it's a low battery return to home that has been initiated, it's a really good thing to not waste battery to first go up to the preset altitude and then start to fly home and then fly down. It's better to use to optimize, because then the drone will start automatically to fly home and then avoid obstacles on its way. And if that can't be initiated, the drone will automatically fall back to the standard. So for me, I've always optimal set as my default advanced return to home setting. So if you like this video, can you help me make it spread to more people so more people get the knowledge they need about the DJI Mini 4 Pro so they can fly safely? And do that by hit that like button and subscribe and share it and all of those things. And then I'm looking forward to seeing that video, because that is the video YouTube recommended to watch next. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye.